All right, let's get the microphone check out of the way a little early today. Let me know if you can hear me across the various chats, that being YouTube, x.com, and Twitch. I will let you know if you are over on x.com, the stream is very, very compressed over there. You might want to watch it on YouTube so that you can see the chart a little bit better. There's not much I can do. I'm pushing the max bitrate I can over there. It's got more to do with their compression algorithm for the stream going out to you guys. So yeah, if you are on X and you want to come over to the YouTube channel, just go ahead and click on my profile. It is in the link in the video description. If you want to chat, it's also the primary place that I'm watching chat as well. For those of you on Twitch, I can now see your chat, so if you would like to chat with me from Twitch, you are more than welcome to. But yeah, go ahead and let me know if you can hear me across these various chats. Pretty soon we are going to be streaming live on Discord at the same time. So working on a solution for that. I see your chat, Bobby. Cool. Yeah, I would definitely move over to YouTube. The stream is horribly compressed on X, I've noticed, and there's a lot of people that watch there. You're more than welcome to watch there. Maybe it gets better for you, maybe it's just on my end, but from what I've seen, it makes it difficult to see the chart. Cool, let me let me go ahead and start getting the music under control. We're just going to roll right into today's stream. Excuse me while I adjust the microphone stand. It's a little creaky. Let's go ahead and get the music under control. Hello and welcome to Landy's Crypto Corner. Today is April Fool's Day. It's April 1st, 2024. And this is Macro Mondays here on Landy's Crypto Corner. The title of today's video is pretty relevant actually to what's going on in the markets. And is the market fooling you or I or us collectively in totality? So we're going to take a look and see exactly what's going on as it relates to what we had previously talked about in prior live streams and prior recorded videos. So if you have watched that and you have been keeping up with my analysis, you'll know that in general, I've said above $68,000 to $69,000, Bitcoin is more bullish, more likely to consolidate, and in my opinion, head up and at minimum try for the $72,000 to $73,000 area if it can get above there, aiming for that all-time high at 73,800 by the upper second standard deviation. Bitcoin is set up for a range right now. To the upside, at extremes, we can see the upper. There's like something going on outside my window right now. Hold on. Okay, it's neighbors. The upper second standard deviation is at $74,000, so slightly above the all-time high here. If Bitcoin does trade above it and close daily candles above there, we would be looking for not only a breakout, but expansion to the upside on the daily here. To the downside, at the extremes, we're looking at the lower second standard deviation, which is actually just below this support and in between the top side of this support here, this being the $65,000 April 2021 monthly swing high, that first all-time high from 2021. And then we've got the October closing high or prior closing all-time high. We're going to look at the monthly as well here in just a moment. But, any candles closing below the lower second standard deviation, and I would be looking for, a structure break around this candle wick low at 62, 250, 260, and then a run into or an expansion into this monthly support between 61, 350 and 58.8. I wouldn't really, at least for now, wouldn't be looking for too much more than that until we saw at minimum, a lower first and $65,000 breakdown. This really hasn't changed very much. So there's a lot of people like getting really hyperbolic yet again, even prior to April Fool's Day with this price action. This is a consolidation. And in my opinion, this is a bullish consolidation. It consolidated, and as you'll see, it closed the monthly above the prior all-time high. So this is a monthly breakout, and this is a breakout retest as it stands right now. When you look at the monthly candles, we're really zoomed in here, but that's because I want you to be able to see the support and resistance and the volatility levels of interest. And when looking at this, you can see pretty simply here, Bitcoin can pull back further. In fact, the monthly upper second standard deviation is now right around $65,000. So a move back to that area is not out of the question, nor would it be abnormal by any stretch of the imagination. And to be quite honest, as long as it's holding above the close open from February into March, which closed at 71,228 with that high coming in at 73,835. But the nice close, about $1,000 to $1,300 above the prior all-time high. Looking very good. Nice back test coming into April. Could it dive further? Sure. As long as it's holding above $65,000 and that upper second standard deviation on the monthly, it's looking very good. Below there, we look to daily support and resistance, just like we talked about on the daily. If we did see the daily lower second dropped, which is right around, let's go ahead and reference that again, just so you can see it. It's right around 62, 500 to 600, which is, to be fair, it's above that volatility support level is above the prior higher low wicks. But if it did drop that area and that higher low wick there, or swing at 62,260, then I would be looking for a run into that 61,350 to 58.8. And you can see how this lines up with that monthly there, because the monthly is pretty straightforward. I mean, below the upper second standard deviation here on this very zoomed in chart, you can see that support zone coming in right there. If we saw any kind of closure in April below this zone at 58.8, then we're looking back to somewhere around that September of 2021 weekly swing high at 53 to the actual closes on the weeklies there from August of 2021 and December of 2021, which did put in closing highs. And that's coming in roughly around $50,000. You could see that the upper first standard deviation on the monthly is coming in just below there at 49,600. Now, this is likely to move up if Bitcoin moves up, because the bands do adjust in real time. They oscillate ever so slightly. They react to price action during the month. But this was a big close. Bitcoin closed very nicely on the monthly. But it wasn't just a monthly close. It was also a quarterly close. So we now have a quarterly new all-time high on a closing basis. Regardless of wherever it closed, it was going to put in a new quarterly wick all-time high, because we have new all-time highs on a wick. And in this case, beautiful quarterly. Came down, tapped right on that upper second standard deviation, which means, let's zoom out. Let's get rid of support and resistance, and let's take a look at this quarterly. We have now closed above the upper second standard deviation on the quarterly time frame. Now, this chart does not have long enough history here. This is the Coinbase chart, so we have to go to the index chart to take a look at the full history of Bitcoin on the quarterly. And there's something that you're going to see that's very, very interesting about the quarterly. Every time that Bitcoin has gotten a close above the quarterly, it has continued to close above the quarterly for successive quarters. So in this case, in 2016, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters above the upper second standard deviation. In the cycle prior to the current cycle, which that being the 2020 cycle, the 2018 to 2021 cycle from low to high. Well, in this case, we only got 2. We saw a barn burner back here, but we only got 2. Oh, how sad. But in this case, I do think this was a truncated cycle. I know that people are all about their cycles, but I don't adhere to, when looking at Bitcoin specifically, I don't adhere to the liquidity cycle of traditional markets. It's a bunch of BS when you try to apply infinite supply of fiats in the fiat systems, not just the US dollar system, but there's many different fiat systems. They're all based, of course, on the central bank system. But in this case, taking an infinitely inflatable supply of something and dumping it into something that cannot be infinitely inflated, that has difficulty adjustments for mining blocks, for transaction fees, and for block rewards that get halved every 4 years. It's just not, you can't apply the same cycles. The cycle changed last cycle. All of the cycle guys were wrong. They're going to be wrong again. If they adhere to traditional market cycles, they're going to be wrong looking into the future with Bitcoin. It's doing something completely different. I personally think it's in a compression, a sideways and up compression over the longer term timeframes. On the quarterly here, you can see Bitcoin did close above the upper second standard deviation, kicking off expansion. We now have confirmed expansion up over the moving average on the quarterly time frame. Now, there's one more piece that I want to see all come together in confluence with one another, and that's, we have the monthly, we have the 2 month, and we have the quarterly now. But the 2 month, I want to see it get one more closure above its upper second. That has the possibility to occur in this month. So any closes above 68,500, or 68,850, Bitcoin dropping down slightly below there by April's end. And we are looking for it to begin really aggressive expansion on the 2 month. So why am I pointing that out? Well, because the 2 month is the most interesting chart to me, on the longer term time frames, even more interesting than the monthly and quarterly. And that is because it is the first full on volatility normalization that we have seen in Bitcoin's history. So if you're not familiar with volatility, Bitcoin was very volatile when it began listing and being able to be charted on any kind of exchanges. So it was a very highly volatile asset. And over time, we saw these peaks in volatility come down because Bitcoin has become less volatile. And throughout that time period, we've also seen the low end of the volatility metrics here begin to come down with the peaks. So we're getting less volatile price action, right? We've seen this. This is well documented. And what we have now seen is a normalization of compression. So we have a baseline of compression. This is the first time in Bitcoin's history that we've seen this. This is a very exciting chart because now we have a baseline of compression. When this thing actually does kick off expansion on the 2 month, look out. This thing's probably going to go and go and go. And there's probably going to be really, really big retraces on the other side of it while still maintaining 2 month structure in the expansive phase. And I do want to point out that Bitcoin on the 2 month, its upper first standard deviation is at 53,600. So it is right around that support and resistance area that we were just talking about from back here when we had our support and resistance chart on. But let's go ahead to the 3 month again. And we're going to look at volatility expansion. We need one more 3 month closure, so one more quarterly close. So we'll be 6 months through the year when we get fully confirmed expansion to the upside. Do I think this is front runnable? Well, yes, we've been front running it the entire way through. So if you've been following along, we're using the lower term timeframes. This is just one last formality, is to get that volatility metric turned to the upside. How could that actually be blunted, though? What would happen, or what could happen that would turn volatility underneath, or bring volatility back underneath the moving average? Well, it already opened above the moving average, so it would have to move back under it, which in the way that this particular indicator is used with Bollinger Bands is all opportunity, because it already moved above it. It would have to move back under it, and it's usually a false signal. That would be if Bitcoin moved back towards its quarterly basis band or upper first standard deviation. So I do want to point out where the upper first standard deviation is. Doesn't mean that it would even close that way, but just a live look at the charts. If Bitcoin moved towards its quarterly upper first standard deviation, oh wait, Hey, that's right in an area that we already talked about at 50,800 bucks. That's right at those weeklies that we talked about between 50,000 and 53,000. That was your April and December weeklies. Was that April and December? I'm gonna have to go look. Um, let's go look. Let's be right about this, Landy. Come on, don't wing it. Be right. Know what you're talking about. You made the chart for a reason. Let's look. Damn it, that's not a good look. Hold on. Hold on. We're gonna get there. Bear with me here. Come with me if you want to live. All right. Yes. So August and December, you've got 50,800 to 51,800. You've got the September swing high or weekly swing high up there at $53,000. That just so happens to line up with all of the fun areas that we've been talking about on our longer term time frame bands. Now, there's only one way to get there. It has to be conditional. We have to be aware of where these things are, but we work off of conditional analysis here, right? So that means that Bitcoin has to meet the closing conditions in order to initiate a move. And that is because of the way that order books work, the way that the actual live auction works. So, and if we're going to go look for liquidity, you have to break through certain areas of support and resistance. We can gather all that information on our charts. We then define that on the higher term to lower term timeframes. Now, the upper first standard deviation falling right in there on the weeklies, right there at that weekly at around 50,800. That is to say that if Bitcoin is trading below the upper second standard deviation, and specifically if we see 58.8 on that monthly that I talked about earlier break down, then we start looking down there. But until then, there's no reason to even look at this upper first, but it is falling in line in confluence with a weekly. All right, so just be aware of that. On the other side of this, if we're going to see continued expansion to the upside, the upper third standard deviation is now at $90,000 for the quarterly. Bitcoin typically outruns the upper third standard deviation during an expansive phase, and it is only just beginning. All right, so because we are looking at the quarterly, we might as well look at what's going to close with the next quarterly, and that is the 6 month. And you want to know what else Bitcoin's doing for the first time in its history? Well, it is pushing its upper third standard deviation with a beautiful wick up there to the 73,000 and upper $73,000 area, almost pushing 74. But more importantly, this will be the first time in Bitcoin's history at the close open of the next 6 month candle and quarterly, of course. That's going to be the first time that we are going to get. Oh, wait. I fooled you. I didn't actually fool you. Because of where Bitcoin is trading, it has the possibility to get its first ever 6 month expansion on BBWP. Now, is this a signal that you should be taking and going like, wow, that's amazing. I need to make sure I know this and I have it drilled into my skull? No. Well, much like I had mentioned on the 2 month, it's the first normalization that we've seen. Well, we haven't seen any kind of normalization across the quarterly and 6 month time frame in terms of measuring volatility because Bitcoin just simply isn't old enough. Now, in this case, we do have its first ever cross above its moving average, which is interesting. But in order to kind of define what is the most interesting thing that is happening, I'm going to tell you right now, it's that 2 month chart that has normalized its compression phase of volatility. Now, it is interesting and it is something to note that this would be the first ever expansive phase that we have seen on the 6 month, and we'll see how it plays out. But we have no reference, we have no baseline to measure it from. So, what we do need to understand is the same thing is roughly happening with the quarterly. We have slightly lower lows. We don't have a normalization though. We need to see another entire cycle in Bitcoin, not market cycle, not your 16 year, not your 4 year. You could throw all that trash out the window because I'm telling you right now, all of those guys have been wrong and had to readjust all of their thesis since last cycle, since 2021. Even the guys that I consider some of the best in the markets, they're applying traditional market theory to and this is a conversation. No, I haven't watched the video yet, but I had a conversation with one of my Discord members, and good friends Bobby about this. So he had shared a video from Bob Lucas where Bob Lucas is basically like, I'm applying my thought process wrong, is at least what he was explaining to me. And I jumped in and talked to Bobby a little bit about this. And the reason why is, that I've talked to plenty of guys in traditional markets, and they are stuck because they can't comprehend this system that is not just on schedule, because everything in traditional markets and liquidity cycles is time dependent. We have elections, we got our 4-year cycle there, we've got our 16-year cycle, but we have a fiat system that had a monkey wrench thrown into it in 2018 through 2020. Obviously, there was a big event in 2018 that many of you probably wouldn't even know about. It happened within the financial system while during the last administration. And there was a lot to be made of it, but the media did not describe what was actually happening there, and they kind of misrepresented what was really going on the inner workings of the Fed versus Treasury there, and what really happened. Um, and then you had 2020, obviously. That event shook all of the monetary systems up. And now there is an ever increasing pace to these monetary systems in terms of liquidity fluctuations. You have a disparity between, the classes of those with vast amounts of liquidity and without. And part of that cycle has been quickened. And what you got to understand is it's not simply something that I'm just saying because I'm some sort of conspiracy theorist guy. It is because it is very, very clear. It's on our charts. And we are seeing that in traditional markets, they're bucking the trend that everyone was expecting, including some of the biggest names in all of trading history. You're trading all stars. Obviously, many know that the media is not something that you should be listening to when taking trading advice. So pay attention to your charts. The cycle's broken, all of them. And that is usually a sign of things coming to an end. And in this case, Bitcoin's cycle also broke around this time. Bitcoin was subject to the liquidity cycle, but applying that theory it was never going to work with Bitcoin because of its fixed supply and the way that it operates, and the fact that its ledger is open to everyone. There's no monkey business going on that you cannot see. All of the monkey business that happens, you can look on chain and you can see all of it. So there's also something that you all need to understand is that traditional market guys understand that Bitcoin is not part of this cycle, and that their cycle is broken, which is why you saw the flip from last year to, oh my God, we need to launch ETFs like immediately, and BlackRock's leading the push. And, all of these big asset under management guys, they were doing what? They were all bashing Bitcoin for years and years and years. Even when it was at its all-time high at $69,000 in 2021, they were bashing it all the way down through all the FTX, through the Luna, the FTX stuff. What'd they do? They bashed it. And then when it was on the lows, what did they do? They all submitted spot ETF documentation to the SEC. Why? They all filed because they knew Bitcoin is one, it did not do what they expected either. Because if you think that it's just retail that drove this to $69,000 or $65,000 in 2021, you're fooling yourself. It obviously was not retail by all of the different companies that went bust and all of the different people that went to jail and or on the run. And most of that was funded via venture capital that comes from traditional markets. So all of these guys understand what's going on in Bitcoin, and when it bucked the trend to the upside and they all had their big bets on, and yeah, that was unexpected because it's not subject to that liquidity cycle, and it will not be in the future. It is on its own cycle, and no, it's not going to just adhere to the halvings. The halvings are only going to make the moves in Bitcoin exponentially more interesting. Let's put it that way, because you have a liquidity lockup that's probably going to begin happening over the next couple of years. We're already going to see, you will see volatility around these events anyway, whether it's to the upside or downside, does not matter unless you start seeing closes that are vastly to the downside. Then that is something to be aware of. But, as long as Bitcoin is trading above 58.8, this big closing monthly all-time high support area, its new close open is up here, so it does have to recover above the new open at 71,300 to go and test the all-time highs. Now that would be a monthly that you can mark off. It is now inside of its own new zone. There is no high here, so I'm not interested in it right now until we see a high put in on the monthly. That I will mark it as a viable zone. I do think this is blue sky territory still. As long as Bitcoin is trading above $65,000, I do think it is blue sky. I know that the $69,000 is the one that I've been talking about the most, but in this green zone, and especially above the basis on the daily, $65,000 to $69,000, Bitcoin is just in a reaccumulation or consolidation, if you like. Whether if you think it's reaccumulation, you're probably expecting it to come down and retest somewhere around 65, maybe even back into the quarterlies here, quarterly monthlies rather, at 61,350 and dip down into that liquid area. But that's not, I can't even look for that if Bitcoin is just consolidating sideways. And you might remember that last week I had spoken about the range, and the range is pretty easy to identify locally. We could take the longer term support and resistance off, and you can just throw some horizontal rays across the top here. You can use vertical rays as well. No, you're going to use horizontal rays. Don't use vertical rays. Vertical ray has no place here. All right. Yes, that's an inside joke. Sorry. Anyway, enough with the inside jokes. Look, as long as Bitcoin is trading above the basis, what did I tell you? As long as it's trading above, 68,300 to 500, it's fine. If we see any closes specifically below, the basis band around 68.3, I would even give it room to $68,000, and I did. And you may remember that above $68,000 to $69,000, it's fine. It's consolidation. It's going sideways. It's okay. Don't freak out. And in this case, it did dip down right to around $68,000, $68,055. Now, to be quite honest, you can take on the daily this close open right here. And as long as it's above this close open from Sunday, March 24th to Monday, March 25th, which is 67,200, it's fine. But if it starts closing in and around there or below the basis band, it is more likely that it would come down and test that lower first standard deviation around 65.5. If it starts to trade below there, well, we're looking at that monthly at $65,000. If it loses it, it's headed for this low over here at minimum on a close at 63,800 to the wicks by the lower second there around the 62.5 to 62,250 area. Below there, we're looking for that monthly at 61,350 to 58.8. Pretty simple. To the upside, if we do start seeing this breakout back to the upside, very, very, very easy. Above 71,800 or so, we're looking at to $72,000 to 73 up here. Above there, we're looking for the all-time high by the upper second standard deviation, roughly 73,800 to 74K. If we see any closures above 74K, well, guess what? We're looking for 75 to 78. And then from there, we're looking at 78 to 80, and then into the mid to low $80,000 region. Now, we will have a few things to update in that regards if it does start to break out above there. But you can see above the current structure here, this is not the right chart, is it? It is the right chart. We can see that the 1272 is up there at 70. Oh, no, I'm pulling the wrong fib. Well, you can pull this fib, but I wanted the swing high to swing low of the entire range, and you will see that you can do either or, and you can refine targets. But in this case, I wanted the actual swing high to swing low that is volume based, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But the 1272 is at 78,400. So again, above the upper second standard deviation, I'm looking somewhere around $75,000 to $78,000 as a zone of interest. Above 78, I'm looking to 78 to 80, we can see that the 1414 is at around $80,000 to $81,000 above there. Then we can start looking into mid to low 80s at the 1618 up here, which is coming in at 84,600 or so, 85,000. Above there, we're very quickly looking, above mid 80s, we're very quickly looking to the 1786, 1888, and 2 spot, and that's basically $87,000 to $92,000. Now, that also very nicely lines up with some of the things that we just previously spoke about, and that is that the quarterly upper third standard deviation is right there, right around that 1888 on an extension from here. It's lining up right around $90,000. So pretty easy number to hit in terms of volatility percentages on the longer term time frame. We can see the upper third on the 2-month is right there at the 1618 at around $85,000. And the monthly is right here at $80,000 by the 1414. So we literally have the perfect fib. And you're going to find that this is always going to work out. It's math. All right. So it's going to work out the way that the moving average for the bands works out with volatility. Standard deviations and fibs are usually going to work out and line up with each other. It's not actually magic, but we are going to actually take a look at some magic here because I asked Zoli to read Bitcoin's future. And I said, when 100K Bitcoin, Zoli, from TradingView, and it read the future for me. It said, we have this card. I don't know what the hell this is. We have Due Diligence and King of Crypto. It says, the cards whisper of volatility within the 10 futures, revealing a treacherous path ahead. Yet, the Due Diligence card speaks of a hidden gem amidst the turmoil, urging one to look beyond the surface. Lastly, the King of Stonks emerges with a promise of mastery over the markets, indicating that control and strategic decisions will pave the way to success. The journey to $100,000 is not marked by time, but by convergence of opportunity, wisdom, and decisive action. So that is Bitcoin's future, as read by TradingView's new April Fool's Tarot card thing. And of course, read by yours truly. And then it tells you, just in case you want to know what the cards mean, 10 of Futures. The 10 of Futures is about letting go and accepting your current circumstances. The markets are about to change and hurt you. Oh no, don't hurt me, markets. Allow it to occur rather than fight it, and it will pass. This sounds like an abusive relationship. Markets typically are an abusive relationship if you are not playing them correctly, that's for sure. Due diligence. What is preventing you from going ahead? One level. Well, we work level to level, so that's a good thing. Due diligence is about asking you to look closer and move forward. Well, we always want to look closer at our charts, and we want to move forward with our analysis here in a moment. This opportunity may be more than what it seems, or more than it seems. I'm adding words to it because it sounded better. The King of Stonks. You care as much about achieving your gains and profits as you do about making sure everyone is happy. I am. I just want everyone to be happy. If you sense that your logic and intuition are out of balance, draw on the energy of this king to realign yourself. So King Landy, the King of Crypto, is here to help you realign your charts. If you're wondering what this is, it's a silly tarot card reading thing that they have launched for April 1st about predicting the markets. TradingView put it up on their blog as an indicator. You know, they have their indicators. This is an indicator, except you go and you pick out tarot cards and it tells you what to expect in the markets. But obviously, much like real tarot card reading, it's a bunch of bullshit that's just like strung together to make a narrative that sounds good, and is very open-ended. So I think it's pretty funny. I thought it was amusing, and one of the better April Fool's things going on right now. There's a lot of April Fool's scams, so if you do want to go get scammed, you're more than welcome to. Just look around Crypto X or YouTube, and there's plenty of people willing to scam you. Look in the comments half the time, and you're going to see all kinds of scam shit going on. All kinds of MEV projects and bullshit like that that'll send you over to all the big gainers, man. Come make millions of dollars. Look at how much money I made. Just use my Mev bot. Come on to Telegram and give me all of your information through there, and we'll add you to the Mev bot. It's totally not going to drain your wallets. I swear, it won't do it. Anyway, that's about it on the Bitcoins for the longer term time frame, at least for now. We can look at the weekly. Let's look at the weekly. I mean, we looked at the weekly, but let's look at it a little bit closer. 74,500 is the upper second. And Bitcoin's upper first down here, as we said, around 62,800. That is right in the bucket, so to speak. That is right around the current lows on the higher low on the daily. And of course, we've got the green zone down there. We've got the upper first on the weekly, coming right in between the closing all-time high zone from the prior cycle and the actual all-time high wicks. So that's coming in at 62,800. That's actually a very good thing for the bulls there. And in this case, I am one of them. Obviously, longer term, all of you know that I'm one of them. But I am also very willing to trade $1,000 ranges to the downside, especially when Bitcoin's moving in extremely aggressive fashion without breaking structure. I mean, $2,500 and it didn't even break structure. That's a beautiful short trade. And if you aren't taking that, then, maybe you're not understanding how to evaluate the market just yet for those particular types of opportunities. And that's okay. You'll learn that as you go if you aren't already in it. But in this case, I did mention last week the weekly basis band was likely going to be right in here at that weekly support area. So if Bitcoin did lose the upper first standard deviation on a weekly close, it would have to be a weekly close, I would still be looking right into this monthly closing area at 58.8 to 61,350. Only if it lost the 58.8 would I start looking towards this weekly closing structure at $50,000 by the basis, because close below the upper first, basis is the next logical target from a volatility standpoint, but it still needs to break down from supports in this case. And again, just a reminder, when I'm talking about downside targets, these are all just possibilities. Bitcoin's still trading above $69,000 today and offered up a nice, beautiful trade to the downside and possibly a sustainable bounce to the upside. It's been pretty good so far, that's for sure. I was trading it off of around 68,200. I think I was able to get fills in. I was a little late, and I didn't have resting orders there because who knows, it could have went further, right? And in this case, it's not looking too bad. It's also not, I've taken some profit on that just in case it comes back at me. I can make the decision on whether I want to fill the trade, keep it open, build it, or kill it with fire. As it stands right now, this is not too interesting. Nice deviation to the downside of the range here, into that main support area that I talked about, $68,000 to $69,000. Nice run of this higher volume low. When looking at that from a volume-based perspective on the 15-minute here, you can see that nice big volume coming in here on this wick low into the actual wick lows that never closed below it. Now we did get closures below it, but then it was one close below, right back in, and it did not even breach close opens over here on higher volume candles, which I had mentioned. This was the high volume candle that you needed to pay attention to. And in any case, that's coming in around $68,000. It's 68.28. It never even got there. And I mentioned that setup last week for you. We saw the high volume when it came into that setup right here. And then, we saw the high volume there. We saw the high volume on the high, keeping it range bound. We saw high volume come in around this area where this high volume came in. And guess where we saw a little bit of volume picking up. So originally we saw volume picking up around the lower second, lower third at $69,000. It bounced, failed, shot right through, right to that main area, and that's where you see the higher volume coming in. Now you do see higher volume kind of rejecting in and around this bigger candle, because this candle was a pretty big down shot. It opened, it was about a 12 a $1,200 candle, about 1250 in this case. So down. That was on an open close, but the high there was 70,540, and the low at that was right. So about 1,200 bucks, $1,250 down into $69,000, basically exactly $69,005 to be exact. Nice bounce off of it, shoot through it. Now we're finding volume there as resistance as well in this bigger volume based candle around this low side structure right here. You can see Bitcoin just tapped on this low over here. It needs to close above at minimum this low over here at 69,450, 460. Needs to regain this low around 69,620 on a close, and then run this local high, which is coming in at that 70,104 to start changing structure. So right now this is a nice downtrend still ongoing. Higher volume coming in on this candle. Does that really mean too much right now? No. As long as it's holding the low around $68,000 and or retests it and gets nice volume coming in, no big deal. Not a big deal at all. I would still be looking at it as more than likely holding above 68 to 69. Now, if it does start closing higher term time frame candles above the 15-minute, in this case, like higher term time frame candle as it relates to the 15-minute would be a 4 or 6 hour. If it does start closing those candles down below $68,000, then we're probably looking for a run at minimum to go test. We've already seen a test of this top over here and this high over here. So we'd be at minimum looking to this. Well, it didn't quite get 67,800. So I would be looking around 67,800 to 67,200. If it drops this low over here at 66,700, then I'd be looking at in order 66 to 66.2 and then $65,000 or so for a test. But that would be how I would take it in order. You work your way from high to low, and you can also account for volume with this as well if you like. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin today. Not too much going on. Nice little April Fool's jaunt into the basis band there, but that wasn't anything that we didn't expect. I hope that if you watched last week's videos or were here for the streams or went back and watched some of the streams, I hope that you recognized this move down to 68 to 69 for what it was, especially when you saw the volume coming in. Now, and if you missed it, that's okay, because we don't know. It could still come back down. Trend is down across many of these time frames on the lower term time frames. But in terms of the daily, it's a big nothing burger. If it's above the basis, it's in the strong half of the bands. If it's below the basis, it's in the weak half, right into major supports. So don't fade those major supports looking for incredible amounts of downside until they fail. All right. That's going to do it for Bitcoin today. That's probably going to do it for my analysis today. I am not interested in traditional markets at the moment. I am still trading them, but I'm not interested in looking at them right now. What I am going to do, though, is I am going to open it up to chat here for questions, and I will take a few altcoin requests, just a few, if that is something that you would like me to do. But for right now, as I make all kinds of clunking noises moving around my microphone as I readjust in my chair, I do want to see some people chatting. So if you are not chatting, chat. Go ahead. Make my day by chatting in the chats on YouTube and or X. If you cannot chat in X, I have no idea what the problem is anymore. I'm so confused as to why some people can chat, others can't. Some can chat from their phone. Some are subscribed to X Premium. Some aren't. Some can chat from their computer. Some can do this. Some can do that. Come on over to YouTube. You can chat there. At least I can see it. And you can see other people's chats, because that's the other thing is like, oh, I was in the chat and I can't chat, and I heard you chatting with others, but I couldn't see what they were typing. And it's like, oh my God, why is it such a mess over there? Fix it. But they are working on it from what I've seen. All right. So, cycle theory. Yeah, no, I actually haven't. It was a video that a good friend of mine, Bobby, shared. I mean, you guys are all friends in the server, so. But yeah, and I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but my thoughts are pretty well established on cycle theory. I think that I believe that Bitcoin is in lengthening cycles and a sideways and up consolidation over the longer term. I do not believe Bitcoin is not subject to the liquidity cycles. It will feel the effects of liquidity cycles in traditional markets, but it is not. It's a completely different beast. All right, so trying to take that blueprint and move it over to Bitcoin is just silly, and I've always thought it was silly. So this is not a new take from me. Um, Having gone through and studied, primarily before Bitcoin was a thing, traditional markets and cycle theory is kind of the big deal over there. But if you want to go and you really want to do the research, go and look at what happened with the Fed and the Treasury in 2018. Don't read what the news says. Just go and look at the charts for yourself, and you'll start to understand what happened and why. Um, and by the way, if you want to know my opinion on it, I think it was brilliant. So anyway, I don't care what other people say or think about it. When you start really diving into why everything's as fucked as it is, it didn't start in 2020. It started in 2018 in terms of not us being fucked. It was the central banking infrastructure that was starting to get fucked. And excuse my language, but fucked. Real bad. Um, yeah, and I don't care what your political persuasion is. I don't care what your ideas. I'm talking charts, man. And what was done was a good thing, I think, for the longer term, for sovereign individuals everywhere. But it did smoke out the rats, that's for sure. And they've been on full display ever since. There's more people now flocking to Bitcoin because of that. And we're talking industry people, not just people like you and I, not the plebs of the world, but industry guys with big stakes and don't want to be caught up in the garbage or the crossfire for that matter. So they'll help us out over here in Bitcoin land because it's going to make they ingratiate themselves to us, and then they can hopefully make the transition without being destroyed themselves um, when it eventually does occur. So Bobby says he wants to look at Atom. Um, let me actually look over here. So we've got who do we got chatting right now? Hi Bobby. Hi Sam. Hi Jedi. Hi Baba is here as well, I believe. Yep. Got Sam. I said hi Sam. We've got we have a lot of people over in some of these other chats. So if you do want to chat, X has had all kinds of issues where some can, some can't. I don't know what the problem is. I know that they're still working on the whole streaming thing over there. If you do want to chat, easiest place to do it, jump on over to YouTube, 90s Crypto Corner. It's in the video. The YouTube channel is linked to my profile on X anyway. I can now see if you are chatting on Twitch, but I don't. Who uses Twitch like to watch this? They're either looking for boobs or video games with boobs. So, yeah. Don Renee is here. Hello, sir. Good to have you on the stream here, and as a participant watching at least. All right. So, you want to see Adam? Let's take a look at Adam. How you doing, Adam? What's going on? What do we got? We got a Binance chart over here. It's been a while. Let's look at the Bitcoin chart for a second, just because we can. Let's look at this Bitcoin chart. Let's go to a weekly. Let's turn off the Bollinger Bands to really take it all in. Hold on. The way it should be. Everything down versus Bitcoin. Like catastrophically down versus Bitcoin. That means that everything is right in the world. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the actual chart that he wanted me to look at. Most likely Binance, if I had to guess. Weekly looks fine for right now. Nice higher low structure. It does need to break out above 1512 and specifically above 1731 to go test somewhere around 20 to 22 bucks. Above there, if it can take out this wick high and this close open of the bear market breakdown at 32 bucks, it's going to be a quick trip back to 45 to 50 bucks and beyond. And as long as it's bullish, closing above 1150. Very, very, I would say this would be bad, but not catastrophic. If it started closing below 1150, as long as it's closing above this series of lows and this low right here. So you've got two lows over here coming in at about 9 to 950 down to around that $8 region. As long as it's trading above this last weekly high or low structure at around that 850 to 872, it's looking good. You can get some shorter term upside if it is going to hold this area off of this original move off the lows here. And we're looking about 15.30 to around 17 bucks. So again, putting it back at this high above there, we're looking at 20 bucks. And hey, go figure, 22 bucks around this low. Isn't it funny how that shit works? I love it. And I think you do too. I do suspect you were using some of these same fibs. I don't like the structure on this. Let's see, it's probably close to a 50% pullback from the local move. It is. It even wicked down to the 382. Yeah, it's got a hold around 1123 and this high around that 50%. So otherwise it's back to 10 bucks. Below there, you're looking for a test in this low around 8 to 9 bucks. And I would be very cautious around that area. And if you are going to do a trend fib, you're going to get some of the same numbers that I just got. The regular fib's going to be more helpful on the weekly in this regard. If you look at the daily, this thing's about ready to lurch over on any closes below 1190. We're looking at, it's kind of more of a consolidation structure on the daily as long as it's trading above this high and this spike low at 1060. That's going to be your breaker. And then below there, if it starts to break down below 1060, you're looking at 969. Nice. If it falls through there, then you're looking back to that 870 to $9 region. On the opposite side of that, if it can regain the wick high and close above it, which is right around this low, you can give it a zone. Wick high is going to be around 1304 to the close open, a little M formation for Steve, the market maker. And we're looking at this probably around 13.15. If it can recover above there, then we're looking for it to pretty quickly work its way back to 14 to 15 bucks. Yeah. Sam, you got to give me a ticker. I'm not just going to look at I can't, I don't know what that is. I mean, is it a person? Is it a place? Is it a thing? We can play 20 questions. Let's do 20 questions. You know what? We could ask Zoli about... We're going to ask Zoli. Zoli. Damn it. I need your help. No, I don't want to F11. I need to smash more buttons on the keyboard. Damn it. F11 again. Hold on. I'm so far away from this keyboard. Zoli, you need to help me. I need help. Read the cards. We need to know. We need to know. Damn it. I don't want to go through all of this again. All right, let me ask. All right. What is the outlook? Yeah, give me the ticker, bro. What's the ticker for... It is literally Koval? You can ping me, but it doesn't do anything, bud. COV, we're doing. No, what? I have to pay for a reading? No. Like, I shit you not. I just blew out your eardrums. I didn't know that they were going to make me pay for that. That's fucking hilarious. Excuse my language, but we're going to swear a little bit today. It's April Fool's after all, so Landy doesn't really give a shit. Not that it really makes a difference what day it is. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at it. Koval, because that's a thing. Let's name our ticker. Let's name it something that everyone will remember and thoroughly enjoy remembering. Circuits of Value looks like it's doing okay. Had a very, very nice pump up, but very, very high volume. So you had a big exit coming in over here in that 75 to 70 cent range. 70 cents. 7 cents. Not 70. That's 7 cents. Holy shit. Oh, God. It's one of these, huh? It's been consolidating forever. It's actually not as bad as I thought. Let's look at the weekly. It is a breakout on the weekly as long as it's above 2.5 cents. It's a breakout above the weekly. If it closes above the upper second, it's got at least an opportunity to run 7 cents again. But I'll be honest with you, that was a big ass exit out of this thing. So it's probably going to go sideways for a little while. As long as it's above 2.15 cents, it's fine, which is the weeklies over here. It's finding resistance around this current low. If it can regain this low over here at around 3.774 cents, 3.77 cents, basically 3.8 cents, then it's got a chance to run for about 5 cents to this wick high at 7 cents. You can see that this came in an order block that was trying to hold price up. Somebody said, fuck that, I'm getting out. It got close enough to my entry, and then dumped it back down and maybe bought back some more and tried to average their way up. I don't know what this is, what it does, but its chart looks like it's trying to pull off a reversal to go back to its opening, first listing prices up here at around 20 to 23 cents. It's got to get above 7 cents to do it. If it can, remember, we're looking at log scale. If it can, I do think it pushes on to 13 and tests up to the 20 to 25 cents or so pretty quickly. And then you're probably looking at a breakout. I have no idea what a blue sky breakout like on this would be. You'd have to ask me when it's in it, and then pick out some local supports or something. From the daily perspective, this is a very, very large expansion to the upside and then a consolidation. I mean, like I said, above, the wick high at 4.28 cents. Excuse me, it's got a chance to run 5 cents to that 7 cent region. But it's got to close above there. It could even get expansion back there. It's got to close above there to get continuation. On the flip side of that, if it does start expanding below the lower second at around 2.1 to 2.8 cents, 2.18 cents, I should say, which is, and drop this wick low around 2 cents, then we're looking for a markdown probably into like 1.5 cent range, and come back to it later. Fucking Zoli trying to rip me off, just like a street hustling card reader from New York City. Wow, crazy, man. Hey, Landy, my brother used your link to get to the PC mining Apollo. Sam, you're not going to mine a Bitcoin off of these miners. These are not, you can mine, but you're not going to mine Bitcoin. Like, you can mine some Bitcoin, but for what you're mining is not going to be a substantial amount of Bitcoin, I should say. They're lottery miners. They are for securing the network, running your own node, and controlling your own UTXOs. You can even run ORDs on there and do that kind of fun stuff. Maybe you mine runes. All kinds of different stuff. There's many different things you can do with a node. But unless you're going to get into straight up like full on Antminer ASICs that are pulling way more power than you are probably going to be able to make up in terms of securing enough in transaction fees and block rewards to offset, and a home, especially in the most powerful miners, you can't even use 120. You can't use residential. You need to use a 220. Or have a transformer step down, something that you're going to have to do to convert that miner to run in your home. Look, the Apollo projects, those miners are awesome because you can mine from your home. You can get a small reward, but you're not going to like you might get a block reward. Who knows? Maybe you join a pool and you're part of a pool that gets a block reward. So you're probably not going to get a Bitcoin off of that miner. You over time will eventually pay for the miner and the electricity it uses if you are running it all the time and mining and supporting the network. But it's very unlikely that you're going to mine a Bitcoin. I mean, if you're going to get a block reward, it's going to be on a lottery basis, and it's going to be more than one Bitcoin. So understand that. All these little miners like that, unless you're willing to put in like serious money into mining, I wouldn't. These are for securing the network, managing your own transactions, getting deeper into Bitcoin, and understanding that the network needs more security and decentralization. From those miners, I think you can join. I think the interface, you can join either NOTs or the Bitcoin Core standard side of the network right out of the box. They're very cool. I think that FutureBit.io is one of the best out there, but they are not the only ones out there. And there are other miners that actually push more terahashes per joule than even those. So, but and they're roughly around the same price, but they don't have the ease of use of experience. You gotta go and do a lot of manual stuff to them. They're usually way louder. So, but if you're running a full node, Apollo's probably the way to go. If you don't want to just build your own. How do you get them in a pool? Well, I mean, it's out of the box. They have setup software that will help you join a pool, or either solo mine or join a pool. You just follow the directions. They've done a very good job at making it very user friendly, but we're also going to have a mining live stream here. It's first going to start in Discord, where I'm going to work with you guys on setting up a node, getting that up and running. It could be something as simple as firing up a virtual machine on your local computer and installing Linux or something. Yes, Jedi, I'm well aware of the security issue with Linux. I'm not concerned about it. There's patches already out for most servers running Linux anyway. So, how to build a node? They teach you. I'm confused. How to build a node? Well, what you got to understand, Sam, is you're building a node is you're running a node. I mean, you could build a node, is just build it. Any computer can be a node, from a Raspberry Pi to, the most powerful gaming PC you can build. But they're not cut out for mining, right? They're lottery miners. If you're gonna mine, you actually have to have specialized hardware called ASICs. It's whenever I get around to it, Sam. I got to work with people across different time zones. And in the Discord, I will do a live stream with those people so that we can all have an open conversation and walk through the process of setting up your node. First of all, it's very easy. You download Bitcoin Core and you run it, and you've got either a prune node or a full node after it synchronizes with the network and downloads a lot of data, right? So those are all the considerations that we'll talk about, and then getting that installed, whether it's GUI or command line version, is something that we'll talk about, and then running it is just keeping it open. You are running it. You will automatically peer when you're running the software. It's automatically going to peer with other nodes. So it's not like you're manually going out there and selecting and configuring it. It's going to do it itself. Finds its peers, and then it starts to broadcast or yeah, it's actually way more simple than people make it. It's more about the development side of things, that if you want to run certain things or do specific things with your node, that's where the complexity comes in. But that's what you're running a node for, so that you can understand how the Bitcoin network operates, so that you can, manage UTXOs and coin joins and fire up a lightning channel, whether you're the one that builds the channel or not, or using a one that's already existing, or you want to do ORD stuff, you want to do inscription stuff, or whatever you want to do. Like, if you have a full node, you can do it, but it's far more complex than just peering with your neighbors and talking about transactions is what the nodes are doing, or processing them, or contributing hash rate to the network to mine if it is part of the mining pool. In most cases, you're not joined to a pool when you start a node, directly from Bitcoin Core at least. But you can join a pool if you wanted. Your computer probably isn't going to contribute any amount of hash that would be relevant, but you can do all kinds of stuff, and you can install the templates and all the other kind of stuff. So we will get there, but it's going to be a bit of a process, because I have to figure out how I want to present it to the public. Live streams, in terms of making it something that's coherent and understandable for you guys. And that's all going to start in the Discord first. It's the same thing that I did with this channel, is like, I want to talk about my ideas of technical analysis and how that fits into evaluating direction with my friends, and then talk to them about it for a really long time, and got down the way that I wanted to present it to everyone, and then we opened everything up to everyone. So it's going to be the same with mining. Before or after halving doesn't really matter. Running a node is running a node. There's going to be utility in it, and you should learn how to do it. And you will never stop learning once you're running one. There's always something new to learn. So, now you did mention that somebody bought one. Did they get an Apollo 2 by chance? Because those things are freaking sick, man. Sorry if you heard the buzz. Apparently this thing has something in it that's interfering with my microphone. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a downtrend. We spoke about, so if you're looking for the Bitcoin analysis, I right off the rip, after the live stream started, I went right into it. And I believe on X and YouTube definitely has a DVR function. You can just roll it back. Baba, you did. Use my link. I don't have a link. But um, an Apollo from, you're talking about an Apollo miner from FutureBit, right? I don't have any association with them. I just really like the project. I bought one. I'm still waiting for it. They're freaking cool. All right, like that project is one that I will support going forward. They've done a really good job. I have the original Apollo, um, and I have a an extension kit or just a miner only, as well as the full node. And then I got the Apollo 2 coming, and I would like to. Yeah, you're going to be waiting for a little bit. They're just shipping now. They're just getting stuff built. I mean, it was all basically pre-order, and then they build it, and then they send it to you. So it's going to take a little while. But they have a proven track record of doing a damn good job, and I expect no less this time. So, I'll report back when I finally do receive mine to let you know how things go. Um, but yeah, I mean, they make it very, very easy and intuitive. Um, and you can always, once you set up a node, you can always make changes. So I mean, that's part of managing your node, right? So you can customize it the way that you want it. As long as it's remaining within network consensus, it will mine. You will pull. I would join, like public pool and see if you want a lottery mine for a little bit. But there's other pools you can join that are larger pools that have consistent returns. So you will get some Bitcoin from running that node, but you'll learn a lot. It's really cool, and I do think that it's a valuable experience um, to understand where to go in the future with this stuff. And then there's other things that are interesting. Like I think I really do think ordinals are a bug, but I love ordinals. Like I think eventually they're probably going to get squashed, but it's probably going to get squashed right off the network. Not that the Knots guys are going to fork the network themselves, but that ords are going to end up forking off into something completely different. Whether that's into a layer 2, which would be very difficult, but into another side-by-side layer 1, that would just make everything that's inscribed on the base layer, the real Bitcoin, that much more valuable because there would be no more. But that would require consensus of Bitcoin core modifications that they have not achieved this consensus on. So, this isn't like something that would be happening tomorrow. It's something that might become a factor in the future. We've got Casey Rodamar's new runes protocol, which basically trying to address some of the inefficiencies in BRC20s. As he put it in his spaces earlier, he wanted an elegant solution that was not creating a bunch of junk. And it seems as though he's achieved that with his new protocol for runes. I've yet to really dig into it, right? But I'm sure there's plenty of you that smarter than me when it comes to that stuff. So still use the link from here. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. No worries. I mean, shit. Maybe I should. People are gonna go buy shit. Maybe I should start partnering. I don't know. Get a little bit of. Maybe they bump me up in the queue. Hey, we're gonna send you one first. Like, just kidding. That's funny. By the way, I get spammed constantly. I'm such a small channel on YouTube and such a small account on X, but I'm constantly getting spammed. Like on a daily basis, I'm getting like 10 to 15 like, hey, I represent such and such exchange. And it's like, yeah, no, your exchange has got zero liquidity. And even if you are trying to kick it off, this is not the way to do it. Are you sure? We'll give you a percentage of the maker and taker fees from everyone that you refer. Like, no, sorry, I'm good. If I'm going to go and do any of that, it would be with, a bigger Mickey Mouse exchange. And no, You're probably never going to hear me reference or recommend an exchange that you use. Not from me, because good exchanges will vary throughout time. An exchange might be good right now, might be complete garbage later. It depends on how they handle things, like FTX. Oh, but the platform's so fast, and I'm getting my fills right where I need them. Like, yeah, it's all messed up on the back end there. That's why. It's because they're rehypothecating and they're becoming the market maker on the other side because they don't have. I mean, they kind of all have to do that, but I'm telling you, danger sign. Whenever an exchange launches their own coin, it's when they launch their own shit coin, just watch out. That is the sign that there's liquidity games being played, rehypothecation games being played. And the whole Merkle tree, yeah, we did our audit, can very easily be fudged. So, no, we snapshotted our audit. Go look at our coin on CoinGecko. See, it's all there. All your funds are Seifu. Yeah, okay. Yep. No. We promise. We did Merkle tree analysis. See? It's perfect. Don't worry. Yeah. All right. So Bobby says that Landy's a little unhinged today. Bro, I'm always unhinged. You know that. Just I keep my shit together for most of the stream to get out the relevant information, and then the rest of the stream is just complete unhinged Landy. I mean, you guys say you want the Landy rants. I giveth the Landy rants, just in different ways. They're not always a rant. Sometimes it's just having fun, right? ETH and Doge versus USD and BTC. You just want me to look at shit charts, huh? All right. Well, the USD charts are going to be okay. Coinbase, Ethereum looking like a really heavy downtrend, much heavier than even Bitcoin in this case. It rejected off the areas that we were looking at. Yeah, that was our measurement anyway to that high. I would be expecting this if it does drop the lower first at 33.70. Yeah, 33.70. If it does drop this area, I'd step it down to, somewhere around 33.20 to around, 31.80 to 32. If it does start dropping that area, and specifically the wick low and this little high over here at around $3,020, then there's problems because that's expansion. On a daily to the downside into probably mid 25, 2600, right around this area here. It could pull up around 28, so you could say like 25 to 28 as a general zone of interest down there. But, any kind of closes back above this wick high at 36.80, which I do suspect that's going to be right around where the upper first is, which is falling in line with this wick low over here around 30, currently falling around that 37.30. Above there, I would be looking right back to the upper second, somewhere around 3,900 to 4K here, and then possibly a run back at those highs at like 4,100. This is looking more like it just wants to consolidate for a little while. We've got the advanced Stoke on here. This is a paid indicator that you guys wouldn't have access to, but you do have access to this free indicator called the B as in boy, A as in ass, reverse Stoke, and that's 3360 is going to be the pivot. So it's well above the pivot. This is looking okay. Consolidation. If Bitcoin goes to the upside, US dollar ETH is going to go to the upside. Starts breaking out above 4K, you're looking at the highs again and higher. We can get a bit of a range here. Yeah, tapped on the 382. It is a little bit weaker below the 50%. If it starts to lose that 382 in the lower first, then we're looking around 3,300 to 3,200 or so as the rough area of interest down here. And if it drops to zero, well, zero was the shorts hero, and this thing's headed to the upper 2,800, 2,500 area or so. If it does break out to the top side, looking at around 4,430 to around 4,600 by the 1272, 1414, 1618 up there is around 4,900, just shy of 5K, which I do think Ethereum is probably going to could probably hit even 10 to 15K this cycle, and that's conservative, so it could hit higher than that, right? But it has to meet a lot of criteria in order to do so. So that would be your ETH USD. If you want to look at ETH BTC, oh, what a sad chart. What a sad chart. I mean, it's just consolidating, though. I mean, at some point, it's going to run harder, but this chart is going to be forever. It was going up. This is going to be in a macro distribution at some point soon if it doesn't consolidate to hold these lows around 0.05 or so. If it starts getting below there, this thing's going to go into a distribution longer term. I mean, the monthly probably doesn't look great either. But it's fine. No, you know what? It's probably going to go up. But relatively speaking, it's got to wait its turn, right? But it will go up eventually. It's as long as it's above, it's got to hold basically where it is now to about 0.47 Bitcoin, at least locally on the daily. Probably bottoms out on the monthly, and then Bitcoin pulls back in any kind of major way. Right now, it's probably going to go sideways while ETH USD dumps and people start trying to pick it up. But if it does start to break down, it's not going to look good. And then you want a Dogecoin. Oh shit, yeah, my bags are fucking fat on Doge right now. I forgot about this, to be honest. I haven't been taking trades on. I've been concentrating on other stuff, but yeah, nice move back into our liquid zone here between these two, 11 to 12 cents or so. Higher low its way off the lower second standard deviation as it relates to this big low over here. On the longer term time frames, at least, that would be the weekly. Weekly looks good. Still in an expansive phase. It needs to hold that upper second, though, at around 20.5 cents. When looking left, it ran right into this low. If it can recover and hold anywhere above around 19 to the upper first at 15 or 16 cents, looking good to really go on another run to test like probably 28 to 30 cents. And then 30 to 35 up here. Above there, we're looking for things going right back to the all-time high area, about 50 to 65 cents. What was the all-time high up there? Like 76 cents, 76. Yep. So yeah, it would look good. It's in a strong position. Just if it starts losing 16 cents, keep an eye on 15 cents, because just below there, if it loses that, it's running this wick low again around the basis, in the 10 to 12 cent region again. For right now, looks good. If you wanted to see this in Bitcoin, well, I think you're probably not going to be as happy with the chart, but it does look as though it is a higher low structure on a swing, and it attempted a breakout, but it's got to get above, like, what is that, 373 sats. So above there, and then it's going to go for a run. 600 to 800 sats, maybe even 1,000 sats up here. It's about 70 cents right now, current value anyway. So could it do it? Yeah. It's actually not as bad. This is a pretty structured drawdown, breakout of the downtrend. It looks fine. I would say that it's in a stronger position on the US dollar side of things. But, it's got to hold 15 to 16 cents. That's good. Let's look. Yep. Look, it's probably going to ebb and flow. Will it substantially increase in terms of BTC? You're going to see it rip into the upside in terms of USD then. I mean, Bitcoin goes down and starts breaking supports, you're probably going to see alts get crushed immediately. So, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on those for you, bud. And I suspect, Bobby, you had all the same areas on your chart already. That, don't know why that would be, but, I suspect that you're already looking in all those areas. So good confluences, I imagine. All right. Somebody asked it, so we're going to do it. We're scrolling down the list. Oh, look at the X rips. Oh, it's a consolidation. More consolidation. Wow. Boy, it better fire out of a cannon to the upside like everybody's expecting. Right? All the analysts are getting excited. It's going to go. Man, just wait. This consolidation has been so long. When volatility ticks up, it's going to moon. $15 to $20 X rips on the table. It could get there. We're probably living in a little bit of a different fiat structured world if it starts to get there. But, I mean, you consolidate this long, you better do something to the upside. I do think that considering the supply dynamics and the escrow dynamics of XRP are something that only now are just starting to dawn on people with XRP. And again, like, I hold, just so you know, like, and this is not a humble brag or brag. I hold XRP from back here, and I sold in these peaks, and I still have a giant bag of XRP. Probably more than most of the people doing analysis on it, probably more than the longer term army holders, because I thought that it was going to be something different than what it turned out to be. And, obviously the SEC stuff and the, slowing it down. But again, I wasn't looking at it as like, this is going to be the next thing. This is the thing. No, Bitcoin's always been the thing. There is no second best. Listen to Michael Saylor. He's 100% right. It's all just a means to an end. Get more Bitcoin. That's literally all it is. All any of it is. Fiat means to an end. Get more Bitcoin. Hey, guess what? Buy Bitcoin. Not an April Fool's joke. But you know what is an April Fool's joke? Going sideways for 6.5 years and then everybody going, it's going to be a multi-trillion-dollar asset. Just wait. Now, April Fool's joke's on you. It's not going to be a multi-trillion-dollar asset, but it will go up versus the US dollar. And it will be used by some partners within industries and corporate partners and stuff like that. No, it is not going to be your Nasara Jasara coin that's going to usher in a new world of rainbow currencies, though. Good luck with that, buddies. But that's not going to happen. Will it go up versus US dollar? Is it going to have a nice run? I do think it is going to. I think if there was going to be a time for it to break out to the upside, it's going to be this cycle. So, you know, a lot of the things on the chart are pointing to it going up. Although this monthly is not the most inspiring at the moment. It's not deadly. It does need to start closing above 65 cents. It's looking as though it wants to continue to go up from the 2-month chart. And then we come back to it, right? Like we can get a longer term chart on XRIPS as well, just by a slightly longer chart, but above 37 cents from the 2-month. Quarterlies turned, but it needs to hold 60 cents on the quarterly. So coming into next quarter, if it's not above 60 cents, this thing is going to be a line chart for a while longer. And I think that a lot of the people in it are not prepared for that. And they are too busy talking about insanity, like straight up insanity. You have more logical takes like the guys like Credible Crypto and a few others that are like, yeah, I mean, there is theoretical larger numbers to be looking at. $14 to $15 is technically on the table. Technically. But even to get to $10, I mean, you're looking at over 600 billion market cap or more. Probably more like 800 billion if I had to guess. And yes, you can use market cap to determine price, because price determines the market cap. So those morons that try to argue online about that, like market cap doesn't matter because, well, okay, then why are you even valuing it against US dollars? Why does that matter? Value it against Bitcoin then. Hey, let's look at that Bitcoin chart. Let's go ahead. Let's look at that Bitcoin chart. XRIPS versus BTC. Hey, you asked about it, right? Like, you want my real thoughts on it. These are my real thoughts. I don't hate the project. What I hate is the absolute insanity that surrounds the people who are blindly believing in it. The same people who tell you not to look at the chart. The chart doesn't matter. The chart doesn't matter. Who cares about the chart? It's about the partnership and the fundamentals. Like, oh, okay. Thanks, Kramer. Like, yeah. It couldn't possibly go down. It's about the fundamentals. This bank they'll never fail. Oh, okay. They're too big to fail, right? Where do I want to take this from? I thought there was a TradingView chart for this, but I guess we'll just go to Binance. This is not a pretty chart. Okay, this is not a chart that you should be out there going like, yeah, it's going to be bigger than Bitcoin, man. Like, if you really think that, and then proceed to get on social medias and call me a moron, then I think that maybe you should learn to chart. You understand how charts are a reflection of actual auctions that are occurring in real time. As a matter of fact, you can even go down to the second chart if you'd like, and you can see the auction happening. And then proceed to tell me about all the fun shit that you think is going to happen, that is completely batshit insane, versus reality that we all live in, where, yes, it is going to probably go up. Yes, I do see it breaking the 176 all-time high, or whatever the hell, the 235 or whatever. I don't even remember. Who cares anymore? It's in the 176 was the last high, and I think 235 or 245 was the other one. The one prior from 2017. I do think that it has a very good chance of breaking out and going for some deeper targets, more conservative, somewhere around the $5 to $8 target range. and possibly 10 if you want to get really aggressive, 14 to 15 bucks. Putting it in the hundreds of dollars per XRP coin, insanity. And you're not even, it's not even worth, there's no financial system to measure it against that point that is relevant. It is something completely different. Maybe it is your new rainbow currency, Nasara Jasara system that you want to put out there into the ether while telling me that I'm stupid for looking at lines on charts. So yeah, you got a Landy rant out of me. Is that what you're looking for? Yeah. Are you satisfied with that? Okay. And look, I don't hate the company. I don't hate the people, and I actually own it. I have traded it for a very long time. Sometimes I even jump on there and I see an upside move or a downside move and I trade it. But I ain't diving balls deep into it. Bitcoin, on the other hand, study Bitcoin. Learn it. And the people who are here from, and Casey Rodemar made a really good point today. People who are here for the degens, for the degenning and the shitcoinery and all the other shit that's going on Bitcoin right now, what ends up happening is they start studying Bitcoin. They need to know and understand Bitcoin, and they become hard money maximalists. They start to see the light. It's amazing. Once you're in it and you understand how it works, you're like, oh my God, this makes sense. Like this is why it is what it is. You got a lot of ETH maxis coming over, and they're having like straight up epiphanies. A lot of Sol maxis as well. And, all those venture capital coins, Torque, I don't know if he's here or not, but, they're all going to eventually cash out, and then they die and they go sideways, and the communities try to pump them, and that's it. They will then pump and pump and pump, but those get lower and lower over time. And then it's always the new coins that hit the market that perform the best, the multiple thousands or hundreds of thousands of percent to the upside. All the previous cycle coins are not usually going to perform nearly as well as they used to. And over time, I don't think Ethereum's going to do very well either. It might have a very good cycle this cycle, but over time, its theoretical cap is on price versus at least US dollars in this case, I think is going to diminish over time. And while Bitcoin being a finite hard asset, hard money asset, it is going to continue to go up and to the right forever. So once you understand this and you're coming from alts and you get into Bitcoin, you understand this. A lot of the reason why people don't get into Bitcoin is because they see the price and they're like, holy shit, to get one Bitcoin, that's insane. That's an insane amount of money for me, right? Oh, okay. I would rather trade this tiny little shit coin because I can make a couple $100 here and there. Not understanding that you can make on the move down today from this compression to failure to reversal down, you could have made a couple $100 with just like a $3,000 or $4,000 low leverage trade. Like it's about percentages of moves, not the price of the asset. And that's why I spent so much time for many years with some of you guys talking to you about this. Is like, it's not about the price. The right hand scale doesn't matter. It's about the volatility, and you're trading the volatility, which is why I'm a volatility trader, because you're trading the dispersion of returns. You're trading the volatility expansions in most cases. You can trade the expansion to contraction as well, or the expanded phase to failure, whether that's a failure to continue to the upside or failure to continue to the downside for reversals and so on and so forth. But, even had a nice little triple bottom. It's been doing a lot of triple bottoming lately here for Bitcoin. And, nice expansion, retest, and a little bit of expansion. Come down, hold the lower first, and boom, up to the other side. Run the bands the other way. Hold the upper first, try to expand up past this high at around 70, the same areas we just talked about earlier. 70,200. Above there, we're looking 70,500 to 800. And then above there, we're looking right back to 71.5, 71.8, maybe 72. But, it's your percentage of move is really what you're looking for. And yes, if something is a super low cap altcoin, you're going to have a much larger percentages of moves when liquidity starts to flood into the market. You get multiple hundreds of percents, but you're going to get lucky on some and you're going to get shit on others. You're going to be late to many of them. So it's more of, it's a very high risk environment if you're playing the shitcoin markets. And, some guys get filthy rich doing it, but it's actual gambling. It's not trading. You're speculating on a new asset in many cases that it's going to go up thousands of percent because it's going to get a liquidity injection from a very large player or multiple large players. And in many cases, that requires hope. And hope is, you can't trade hope. You might be right. You might get it right if you do your research. And, maybe you're considering it an investment. But, I'm evaluating charts and trading charts. So those are two different things. Investing is, I'm looking at this as I could lose everything I invest in it, or I'm making money and then leaving as soon as those first volume bars starting to hit at the top side. And then, come back to it later. While they pull the rug on all of the new buyers at the top. And then, it's the same in every market, whether it's ordinals, whether it's shit coins, whether it's the same. It's the same cycle. Once it's got a long enough history, then you can trade it. Then you can, okay, I'm going to accumulate this thing and then trade it to the upside, or take what I've accumulated and push price down to a buy zone so accumulate more, whatever. It depends on how big you are in that market. But yeah, anyway, I do think that is going to do it for me today. We've been going for about 2 hours here. We're going to turn on the tunes. So let's get those back and rolling. Let's start with Cyberpunk. Let's get that music going up. Let's see if anybody's got any questions in the waning last minutes of this April 1st live stream. You all let me know. If you have any other questions, comments, go ahead and let me know. Also, if you did enjoy the technical analysis portion of the stream, go ahead and or the rant portion of the stream, go ahead and sub the Landy's Crypto Corner YouTube page. Throw a like on the video, share it, all that good stuff. Same goes for the X account. Go ahead and follow. All my information is free. Indicators are free. And analysis is free. There's no paid shit. I don't have any courses to sell you. You want to join the Discord, guess what? It's free. I just really enjoy staring at charts and giving my opinion on them. I do have a very informed opinion from a long time in these markets, not just crypto, of course. But yes. And no, I won't always get it right. Absolutely. Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't always get it right, but we are very, very spot on. We have a very high degree of accuracy in this particular community. And it's based on some very simple principles. You don't need to overcomplicate things to have a high degree of accuracy in terms of predicting where things are going to go, as long as you make it conditional. If you understand that price is conditional and it works on an auction basis, you can identify how price is moving very, very easily, and then that allows you to identify opportunities to trade those price movements, otherwise known as volatility. yeah, so I think that that might be, I see a fuck yeah in there. That's from a different chat. That's from YouTube, I believe. All right, let's go ahead and I'm also going to chart and jam out to some beats for a little bit. So let's go ahead and put this on for about 15 minutes. We'll let the stream run. So if you do enjoy charting, you can listen to some synth wave kind of techno-y music that I happen to pick up somewhere along the way. I don't remember where. And I will have a recorded video out tomorrow. It is going to be a quick take TA video, so about 5 to 6 minutes long, where I will give you the outlook of Bitcoin. Now, if you have requests for altcoins outside of these chats, and you aren't on the stream for me to evaluate it for you, and you have a request that you throw in Discord, please give me the ticker and the exchange, and then I will try to get to it for you. I won't be doing dedicated streams for that stuff, but what I will start to do is break that out into, basically your requests during the live streams as we go forward. And then I will open up the chats to requests live. And I might need some help. So if anybody wants to step up to help me cut up those videos so that we can just post them separately for the analysis. And I'll do a little bit more formal analysis on the altcoins for you. But yeah, other than that, you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, Landy out.
Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
CBR Street Gang, over, by 85, over.